Hey everyone, it's Alicia here at Cosmic Gateway. Hope you are well. We are moving into the second half of November, and my oh my, the first thing that sort of came to mind before recording this energy update was testing, one, two, three, and just literally just want to acknowledge the people who are going through very extreme testing and initiation phase. Obviously there's a lot of astrological alignments that are going on. There's a lot of intense energy. It's how do I say this? It's a very saucy Scorpio season. I think there's going to be a lot of relief when we kind of move out of this phase, this very Scorpionic influence. But I don't think it's just that. And sorry, two things that want to come out at the same time. But obviously, it's all for a purpose because it's really dragging up some really deep, dark, dirty skeletons in the closets for a lot of people, which are things that we have to integrate. It's that shadow aspect that we need to be able to face and be okay with and love ultimately. So everything comes up to be healed and acknowledged. And it's like that element of not leaving any stone unturned. Like, it's so important to be in our own balance. And I think that's probably, I'll start off there because that's a really good point. I think that is one of the most, probably one of the most noticeable things I have observed, especially in the last week or fortnight, has been this really on edge energy. And it's how to describe it. It's like something's about to pop or snap or burst. That kind of feeling of when you're on the edge of something and it's about to break through, which is probably where a lot of people are at in their own process. They're, going through the pressure cooker and it's ready to sort of erupt and sort of transform. But there's that real like on edginess feeling that's very much out in the collective. I know that I sort of pick up on that, and it's taken me a great deal of like pulling back, because I can be very influenced and affected by collective energy and other people's energies. And I think there's an element that I'm also really proud of myself, because I know that within my core I have been quite um, grounded and balanced and peace, in my own core strength, probably not peace, but in my own core strength of not being pushed around by those energies as I probably once was, or for most of my life, really, really kind of pushed around. So that's like the self-mastery that we're being called to step into and how do you do that is through, time and time again being put through the test and the ringers to see how we can hold that core strength in times of challenge and chaos and adversity. And it's certainly time to that we're, as way showers, being called to do that more and more and more. And I think one of the things that comes to mind is quite often I get asked questions or see comments, is like, when's it going to end, or how much longer, or when's the craziness and the chaos going to end? And quite often I don't sort of respond to those messages because it's kind of like it's really hard to answer those questions, because it's, from my perspective, it's about not about when is it going to end or calm down. And yes, there are times where it feels more ramped up like it does at the moment, and then there's times where it's a bit more smoother, calmer waters. But ultimately, the chaos and the trials and tribulations that sort of amplify is there so that it's about adjusting to um, our own way of responding, rather than reacting, and staying in our center and being that calm in the eye of the storm. So I think that's really important, self mastery on um, all levels, mental, emotional, physical, energetic, spiritual. They all go hand in hand, and some we have to strengthen more than others. Some people really get the fitness and the physical stuff, and other people really have the good, mental um, capacity. So, but it's about hitting all elements. And quite often, what I see in people's ascension process, especially my own, and observing my own, has been a fascinating process to say the least. Um, but for me, it was pretty much having a lot of symptoms of anxiety that then progressed into a lot of emotional self mastery, or actually, probably I say mental and physical feeling, the imbalance in the body, and getting the exercise and the food, and changing diet and things like that, lifestyle, and then it was the mind, training the mind, and then it was the emotions, and then it was the energetic, and obviously we go through those cycles. It's not just one time wonder kind of thing. We always come back to it at deepening levels, time and time again. And so it's really about learning, observing, learning, understanding your own process. And, if it is to seek guidance from a practitioner or a mentor, or do a program or a course, I'm super excited. I'm probably going to be unraveling about 2 or 3 courses early next year. And that's what I've been doing a lot of work in the background at Cosmic Gateway. Just so excited to kind of stepping into that new level of, I've been literally working on these programs for years to kind of put together the best content possible for people to have the tools to work with their own self-mastery, to understand themselves better. And, I've been working away, refining it. So, that's one of the many exciting things that next year is going to be on offer. So, keep an eye out for that. If that's something that, sparks your attention, keep an eye out on the page, or sign up to the newsletter, or, so I'm going to slowly be unraveling those things. But also, another thing that I'm working on, I've kind of been sitting on the fence until probably about a week or two ago, is the subscription on Facebook. So the Facebook subscribers that have gain access to exclusive content. So I have decided to move forward with that. So I would absolutely love for you to be, a subscribed member. It's about $7.50 Australian, just under, I think. And so I think it's like about $2 or $3 when you convert that into US dollars or euros, um, per month, and that will gain you access to more exclusive content. So going to be doing like live streaming, more videos, updates, and more sort of techniques and teaching around how to, tips and tricks, different techniques of how to do energy mastery and mental, emotional, things like that. So absolutely, if you feel that that is going to be a benefit to you, we'd love to see you on there. And of course, that goes to support all the other stuff that I do here at Cosmic Gateway, and all the collaborators are sort of coming on, the team's growing and building. So how to do that, you can hit the support button on Facebook if you can see that on Facebook, and if not, I will put a link in the description box below where you can, it'll link through to how to sign up. So please, if you feel called to do that, would be absolutely mean the world to me. And just in other things that will be in the description box, I have just done the 1111 transmission, which was phenomenal. I feel like they get better and better, and that's a collaboration that I do with Kerry, and so she works on the constellation field, and I do the guided transmission, and it's just been amazing. So if you want to catch the replay, the details will be up. If you want to join our next one, which will be on the 22nd of November, the details have just gone up for that as well. So all that's in the description box. If you want to join us, it's just a really, I don't know, it's a beautiful way of people coming together, connecting, having some energy work and healing, and going through their own breakthroughs. Obviously, it's not personalized as an individual session, but I think it's a great, resource for people to access that's, very affordable and doable in the comfort of your own home. So, so thank you all for who have joined and signed up for that. So, so I guess the emphasis at the moment is self-mastery on all levels, because it is so gunky. And I know, for me, there's been a lot of themes around, observing other people's trials and tribulations, and knowing that it's part of their own growth, and part of their own path, and that, of course, I'll always be there for the people that I love, but knowing that it's not my job to. So there's an element of pulling back as well when guided to, and to be there when needed. It's a really challenging thing, to do, but it's necessary. And it's like, sometimes people have to go through things alone, and sometimes we go through it together. So there's a lot on the masculine feminine, balancing and merging. That's been going on for months now, and that was the theme of the 1111 transmission, because it's very much about that balance within ourselves, but also in a lot of divine partnerships on the planet. There's huge progress being made. It's actually really, really exciting. And it's also quite horrendous sometimes being on the front line of that. But, it's so beautiful to see the shifts and changes that are happening in the different masculine and feminine collective at present. And also, I guess I want to say to people who aren't feeling or seeing that, not all is as it seems. Quite often we are given that simulated kind of experience that makes it seem like everything's, completely been lost or back to square one. But things shift and change so rapidly, so quickly. Just know that. And, the shifts and transformations that we're going through, the speed and the pace that we're going through them now is so much quicker than it ever has been. And, with that, it's like, hold on to your hats. This is going to be a wild and bumpy ride, but, we do get there in the end, and we're all in it together. So, along with that, the observations with the timeline shifting and glitching is just so crazy. Literally, I've had so many incidences where people have literally not seen me, and I've been right in front of them. On the road, cars just not, not seeing you. And it really speaks to being in a slightly different reality or timeline, because it's like it's not there, and then all of a sudden it's there. It's like things appearing, disappearing, reappearing, as it does when we go through such noticeable timeline shifts. So it's kind of like, going back to, if things seem really dark and like all this lost type scenario, it's like that could be a lower timeline that you're clearing in that moment. You shift your energy and something shifts, and then all of a sudden things change again, and you're back to feeling more connected more than ever. So, it's like, how do I say, I was thinking about this today, how do you say it? It's like not really taking anything too seriously or too personal, because everything's in such a flux of constant change. And I think that's one of the best ways to navigate the current energetic climate, is really to allow yourself to be in a fluid state and be in the ebb and flow of the changes, and just to go with it and not, embrace it and not resist it, because resistance is only going to create barriers and blockages and more frustration. So it's just kind of acceptance and flowing and doing what you can on a daily basis. But the testing and the challenge has been sort of crazy, and I know like some of my beautiful soul sisters and brothers have been going through a lot of frustration when it comes to like things challenging in like timing and blockages and things not moving forward. And I think that that's part of this testing phase that we're at. And I if you didn't get a chance, I shared a really wonderful video with Amanda Lawrence and Todd Medina a few days ago, and talking about similar things that I've been saying, but just in different ways, as we all get it quite differently. But between September and December, or the final months of the year, is a completion of a large part of the ascension. Individually for some, and obviously on a collective level at varying degrees, and it is literally bringing people to their knees. People want to opt out, go home, just don't want to do it anymore, don't want to play this game anymore. Like it's really hard and brutal at sometimes, and we're becoming more and more attuned and sensitive. So doing things, being in certain environments or social environments, or going out and doing things that we used to, just aren't possible anymore, because of the level of sensitivity to environments and other people's energies. There's a lot of strain on certain relationships and friendships, and a lot of stuff does tend to break away while we're going through the ascension process, and triggers are on high alert, and things can feel very volatile at times. And it's really about going back into your center, going back into yourself, and finding, if something triggers you, like really asking, what is that bringing up in me, and trying to neutralize and dissolve and bring it back to 0 point energy, because it's come up for a reason. And, there's obviously someone or an event or a situation that has brought that to the forefront, and they're just the messenger ultimately. Everyone is assisting us as we're assisting others in our ascension process by loving and supporting or triggering us. And ultimately it has the same effect, because it is, it's about bringing stuff up and releasing and soothing and replacing, and a lot of the work that I do in my energy sessions. But I always see it as, whether there's, someone who's a lover and a cheerer, or someone who's a triggerer, like ultimately it's kind of having the same, you know, what's the word? The words just escape me. It's having the same, effect in the sense of it's helping us bring to light healing and traumas and wounds that we're transmuting for our bloodline, for our ancestry, for the collective, or for our own process. But it very much goes hand in hand, the way that I see it. And so the people who come into our lives to trigger us are necessary. But, there is a fine line between setting your own boundaries because people are constantly being inappropriate, or when, people are guided to say something and we take quite a triggered reaction to that. So it's about knowing yourself and knowing what's what. So you know there's so much to be said about triggers, and projection. I often call, when we go through phases like currently, we're now in trigger season, we're now in projection season, and it kind of feels a bit like that at the moment. So just, I guess I just want to say, stay in your own lane, people. Stay calm, do what you need to do, but know that these things do pass. These challenging times do pass. So, what else? New changes. Yeah, so I think I mentioned in a post a few days ago just new awarenesses and differences that I've been noticing So, seeing, so, quite often you can see spirit from your peripheral vision. So from the side, I know a lot of people see it like this. It's like a black shadow and it sort of moves and you turn your head and you look and it's gone, you know. Um, what I've been noticing, is new and different, is that I'm noticing that more towards the front of my vision. It's a lot more solid. It's in full color definition. So it's, clearly a personal entity or being. And it sort of appears, it's not a shadow like it has been for many. It's full color. It's not so much to the side, but more into the front vision. And I'm aware of it. And then I look and then it disappears. I have been having that now consistently for about a week or two. So that's something new and new and consistent. I think that has a lot to do with the shift, and it's given me a lot to. There's so many new ideas and concepts that are flooding through at the moment. It's a very creative time for me, and with that is a lot of time of sort of wanting to go within to have that connection and to get that work out or written down or somehow documented so that I can put it into my courses or put it into content that uploading on social media for you guys. But I've given a lot of thought to the Drew Varlo article about what happens prior to the shift. The I think it's the pole shift, but the dimensional shift that lines up as well, the consciousness shift. And a lot of in that was talking about the weakening of the magnetic field, and I think that it's pretty clear. It's backed by science that around the time of the full moon, it creates havoc in the magnetic field around the planet, and that's where there are more people experiencing heightened emotions. It's recorded that there are more deaths, rapes, and murders, in and around the time of the full moon because of that. And what was stated in that article is that, leading towards the shift, the magnetic fields are weakening, at a permanent level as we get closer to that climax. So imagine, like, kind of describes what's going on right now. So if you want to look at it from a positive perspective, it just shows how close we are. But if you think about, like, constantly being under the influence of a heightened full moon. So if you think about this, that, to me at least, that's what it's felt like for weeks, months. And when we've just had this full moon in, sorry, I've got Luna and Ari here with me. When we've just gone through that full moon in Taurus, which was just, less than 24 hours ago when I'm recording this, that full moon just felt so much more intense than any other full moon that I can think of for a very long time. So if you think about it from that context, like the weakening of the field, and then everything being sort of amplified and people's emotional states being just a mess, it kind of makes sense. So that, going back to that, if you want, I'll try and find that article and attach it in the description box so you can go and have a read of it, because I did want to do a whole segment on that, and I might do that coming up. I've got some new collaborators coming through, which is exciting for Cosmic Conversations. And talking about that, because it did make me think how people really need to find that balanced state within themselves as we go through these times, to be able to project that more calming energy out into the world. So I guess that's something to ponder and to think about. And think about, if you don't have those tools or you don't know how, find some good resources, find some stuff online, talk to people. You can message me. I always, like, as my clients would know, when people come and have a session, I'm always like offering, different resources or different tools or techniques, whether they're my own or ones that I know of, and getting people the right the right thing for them ultimately. So it's definitely a time for that. I think that's probably one of the most important messages that I can put out there. But on the flip side of it, if you look at it from the positive perspective, we are well and truly into some very, very changing times. And I think that's interlinked with what we're seeing in, the political arena and in the governments and the economical system. There's so much just ready to kind of transform, for want of a more positive word. But there's, just on the precipice of so much change, which is, we're in the chaos times right now, and the new structures are starting to come through. There's so much beauty in the collaboration and the people working together and the ideas and all the beauty that's sort of coming through and soul family connecting. So, definitely just beautiful times on the horizon. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to try and upload some more content throughout the week as I'm guided to. But of course, if you want to connect with me and book a session, I would absolutely love to connect with you. So I'll put the details in the description box below, and go into the intuitive insights. So the links will be below. Obviously, up on the screen, you can see there's reading A, B, and C, and you can click through and get the additional video. So I hope you enjoy. Sending you so much love and connect with you soon. Bye.